The morning they wheeled me into surgery, my mother held my hand and whispered, "You are the most selfless person I have ever known." I believed her. I was wrong too. My name is Claire Hensley. I am 34 years old. And 18 months ago I gave my sister Rachel the one thing no one can buy, replace or return. I gave her a piece of my body so she could live. Last Thursday at a dinner table surrounded by family, she stood up, raised her glass, looked directly at my older sister Dana, who had done nothing, donated nothing, sacrificed nothing, and said, "I wouldn't be here without you." She wasn't talking to me. I smiled. I picked up my water glass. And something inside me went very, very quiet. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from. Rachel was diagnosed 2 years ago. The call came on a Tuesday. I remember because I was in the middle of a work presentation when my mother's name flashed across my screen 3 times in a row. By the time I stepped outside, the word kidney failure had already rearranged my entire future without asking permission. I didn't hesitate. That's the part one keep returning to now. I didn't pause, consult anyone, or weigh my options. I just said yes. Immediately. Without condition. The testing took 6 weeks. Blood work, compatibility panels, psychological evaluations. A doctor sat across from me and asked 3 separate times if I was being pressured. I laughed each time. No one pressures the quiet sister. We volunteer. Rachel cried when they confirmed I was a match. She called me her miracle. She posted about it online. A long, careful post about fighting for her life, about hope, about the people who show up when it matters. He tagged our mother. He tagged Dana. He tagged 3 friends from college. He did not tag me. I told myself it was an oversight. Social media isn't everything. What mattered was that I was helping her live. The surgery was 8 hours. I woke up alone in recovery because visiting hours had ended and my family had gone to dinner. A nurse named Patricia checked my vitals and asked if I needed anything. I said I was fine. Old habit. Recovery took 4 months. I worked from home, moved carefully, slept on my side, and watched Rachel's health improve in real time through family group chats I was barely mentioned in. When she hit her 3-month milestone, the family threw her a small celebration. I attended. I brought flowers. No one asked how I was feeling. I told myself it was fine. She had been through something traumatic. She needed the attention. I was the healthy one now. I could handle it. What I couldn't handle, what I didn't see coming, was the dinner. It was supposed to be a gratitude gathering. My mother's idea. A chance to celebrate Rachel's recovery and thank everyone who supported her. 12 people around a long table. Good food. Candles. The kind of evening that looks warm in photographs. I arrived early and helped set the table. Rachel hugged me at the door, called me her rock, and disappeared into the kitchen. Dana arrived 40 minutes late, announced loudly by our mother like a returning dignitary. She had flown in from Portland. She had sent a card during Rachel's hospital stay and made 2 phone calls. That was the full extent of her contribution. No one mentioned this. Midway through the main course, Rachel stood. She tapped her glass. The table quieted. "I want to say something," she began, voice soft and practiced. 18 months ago, I didn't know if I was going to make it. And the reason I'm sitting here tonight, the reason I get to have this life, this dinner, these people, is because of one person. I set down my fork. My chest rose. "Dana," Rachel said, turning to face her with wet eyes. "You never gave up on me. You kept calling. You kept showing up emotionally. I don't think I could have survived this without knowing you were in my corner." The table erupted in soft murmurs of approval. Dana pressed her hand to her heart. My mother wiped her eye. I sat very still. My scar was 3 inches long and still faintly visible beneath my blouse. The organ keeping Rachel alive right now was not Dana's. It was mine. It was inside Rachel's body at this very moment, working, filtering, functioning, and I was sitting 6 feet away being thanked with a water refill. I did not cry. I did not stand up. I did not make a scene. I excused myself to use the restroom, ran cold water over my wrists the way I do when I need to think clearly, looked at myself in the mirror for a long moment and made a decision. Not an angry decision. A clear one. I am done performing gratitude for people who can't perform basic acknowledgement. I returned to the table. I finished my meal. I laughed at 2 jokes. When dessert came, I declined politely, said I had an early morning and left. In my car, I sat in the dark for 11 minutes. Then I opened my phone and began drafting a message. Not to Rachel, not yet, but to myself. A list. Every appointment I had driven her to. Every night I had slept at the hospital. Every follow-up call I had managed. Every prescription I had picked up. Every time I had absorbed her fear so she didn't have to carry it alone. I wrote it all down. Quietly. Precisely. I didn't send it to anyone. But I stopped doing 3 things that night. I stopped answering calls after 9. I stopped volunteering for logistics no one asked me to handle. And I stopped pretending I was fine when I was not. The shift was invisible at first. Rachel texted twice that week asking for small favors. A ride to a follow-up appointment, help drafting an email to her insurance company. I responded warmly both times and said I wasn't available. She said no problem. She figured it out. Turns out people do figure things out when you stop being the solution. 3 weeks later my mother called. She said Rachel seemed distant. She asked if something had happened between us. I told her yes, something had happened 18 months ago and I was still waiting for Rachel to remember what it was. Silence on the line. Then my mother said quietly, "She loves you, Claire." "I know," I said. "I'd like her to say it." I have not confronted Rachel. I am not planning a dramatic revelation or a public reckoning. I am not interested in making her feel small the way I was made to feel invisible. What I did, what I am still doing, is simpler and more permanent than any argument. I called the transplant center where my case is documented. I requested a full copy of my medical records. The compatibility results, the surgical notes, the recovery timeline, everything. Not to use as a weapon. To hold as a fact. To remind myself on the days when the self-doubt creeps in, that what I did was real. It happened. It is documented. It does not require her acknowledgement to be true. I am also for the first time in my adult life seeing a therapist. Her name is Dr. Yoon and she has a very calm voice and she asked me in our second session why I thought love had to be proven through sacrifice. I didn't have an answer. I'm working on one. Rachel called last Sunday. He asked how I was doing. We talked for 20 minutes about ordinary things. A show we both watch, her new medication schedule, the weather. At the end of the call she said, "I feel like I haven't properly thanked you. Like really thanked you." I waited. "I want to do that soon," she said. "If you'll let me." I told her I would think about it. That is more than she gave me at that dinner table. And for now, it is enough to know she finally noticed I had gone quiet. Because the most dangerous moment for someone who has always been overlooked is not when they scream. It is when they stop explaining themselves entirely. I gave her my kidney. I gave her years of my quiet, unannounced devotion. What I am keeping, what no surgery and no oversight and no dinner toast can ever take from me, is the knowledge of exactly who I am. And the decision of who still gets access to her.